Okay, let's start right away because, as Cass said, there's lots of things that we need to look at in deep to actually understand how it actually works to work with the Meridian module in a proper way. And yeah, here we already have it. So the HealAdvisor. Oh, wait a second. Oh, okay. So one very important thing for the HealAdvisor app is, of course, that we have now the next generation of information field analysis. So, as I said in the beginning, when we started with the HealAdvisor Analyse app, after 2 years, I already said, okay, let's find a faster platform, a platform that can do more from a programming point of view, and so on. And there is where we actually started with the Meridian. Yes, let's say ideas. And at the end of the day, after 5 years, we reprogrammed the whole thing. And now we can actually implement all complex things that we did for the Meridian module. So as we see here, Meridian teachings are a central element of traditional Chinese medicine. So for thousands of years, Chinese, of course, intuitively said, okay, there is something in the body, it's connected, everything is connected somehow. And what they identified are the meridians. And as we all know, there are 12 meridians and they are mirrored basically. So you have a left and a right meridian always. So it's 24 in a whole. And there are acupuncture points on those meridians. And which, when you measure them with a resistance measurement device, you will see that those points have especially usually low resistance. So something is different there. And if you stimulate those acupuncture points, you actually get let's say, a very unique response. And yeah, and you can see basically those meridians as kind of pathways, so energy pathways, because through those meridians, or if those meridians are flowing freely, you basically also can measure those meridians and see that they are coherent, and also the energy is flowing freely. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so of course you have two kinds of elements in the Meridian teachings, and that's on the one side is of course the Qi, so that's the vital energy. So I think you can easily understand it if you think about what makes us as humans, so what makes us unique. And we all know we have our own consciousness, we have our own energy, we have our own path through life. And if you die, basically you're just what remains is just a few atoms basically that have no sense anymore, no purpose anymore. But if you still have qi in your body, so this vital energy, then your body becomes purposeful, and your mind basically controls or leads your body to all kinds of things. And it's a very, very abstract concept, but for Asian people, it's very common to understand this. For Western people like Europeans, it's like, what are they talking about? But Qi is very, very unique, and everyone has it, but only few really understand it. And of course, if this Qi doesn't flow freely, so it's blocked somehow, this can of course lead to imbalances. So everyone knows it, something goes wrong in your life or goes repeatedly wrong, so something is blocked, so the energy flow is blocked. And that's where the other concept comes in, yin and yang, because yin and yang present the balance basically. So yin stands for cold, passivity and darkness, and yang stands for warmth, activity, and light. And as we see, a cold is normally something bad. So everyone, I don't like to be cold, darkness, I don't like to be in the darkness. But actually, it's just the other side of the medal, because on the other side, it's warmth, it's activity, it's light. So both need to be there, because without one of them, the other couldn't exist, because it wouldn't make sense. But what actually makes us up is the balance between those both elements, so yin and yang. And if the balance is actually there, then your energy flows freely. And yeah, imbalances, of course, need to be addressed in a proper way. And there is, of course, the Meridian module, a very, very unique opportunity. Please go on. Can you go to the next slide? Ah, perfect. So there are 12 main meridians, and they are arranged in mirror image on both sides of the body. That's I already told you. And now a very important thing. Each meridian is, of course, connected to certain emotions, to certain mental states, to certain organs, and to certain functional circuits in the body. What does that mean? It means that if you stimulate a meridian or stimulate an acupuncture point, you also are stimulating a certain emotion, a certain mental state, a certain organ. And that's very important to understand the connectiveness of those things. Because it's not like, yeah, you have a meridian, it does X, Y, Z. No, it does a lot of things. So it's a lot of connections that you basically have in this meridian, a lot of acupuncture points. I mean, it depends on the meridian. Some are shorter, some are longer. And only if you understand this concept, you can work with those energies, you can work with those acupuncture points, and basically identify blockages or imbalances and address them. And yeah, there are the yin meridians. So here you have lung, heart, pericardium, spleen, pancreas, kidney, and liver. And then you have the yang meridians. And those are large intestine, small intestine, gallbladder, bladder, stomach, and triple heater. So all in all, 12. And of course, you have the practical use of meridian teachings that I already mentioned some. It's the acupuncture. So you have thin needles that are inserted at specific points along the meridians. You have acupressure, so you can do the same thing that you do with needles, with a little pressure or a little more pressure. Meridian massage, of course, so you can massage alongside the whole meridian. For that, of course, you need to see or you need to know where they actually flow or where they are located on the body. And the Meridian module, of course, of the HealAdvisor Analyse app is a very novel way to use those Meridian teachings. And of course, it's using Healy technology at its best. Yeah. So, and a simple means of analyzing the coherent state. So the first thing that you actually do is you analyze the coherent state of the meridian. So you analyze how coherent is a meridian. So is it hypoactive, coherent, or hyperactive? So is yin and yang basically balanced in this meridian? You can of course also do that for other people. And that's how it works. So for the Meridian module, you after the coherence analysis, you see, okay, what is the meridian with the lowest coherence? And you also see it basically sorted by coherence. So you have two ways to sort it. It's by coherence and by the organ clock. And the organ clock is basically for advanced users that are very familiar with the organ clock and are doing basically analyzes several times for clients, because then you see, okay, how is the distribution, because they're of course ordered in the same way. And as we all know, it's very important also to know when those basically meridians are active. So for example, the heart is from 12 to 1 o'clock. So you also can apply the Healy and McHealy meridian programs, of course, at this time. So you can, at the end of the day, use those active times to stimulate also the meridian with the right program. And of course, for a normal user, it's sorted by coherence, because on top you see immediately which of those meridians are incoherent. And you can then, of course, also analyze in the next step the most important meridian points on those meridians. And that's quite important, this step, because what do you actually do? You identified first, okay, this meridian is incoherent, and then you say, okay, let's analyze every single point, which one is the most relevant, or which ones are the most relevant. So as we all know, we have the relevance analysis in the Analyse app. And when you identify the most relevant, then you actually pick the two most relevant and analyze in depth. So first, of course, you see here, that we already had. Please go to the next one. Yeah, and that's what you do before you analyze the basically acupuncture points, and that's you write a focus text. And of course, a focus text is always formulated in a positive way. So I always give the example. So when someone has knee pain, and then of course, the first what comes to our mind is like, yeah, I want to be my knee needs or should be free of pain. But that's not a positive focus text. The positive focus text would be basically formulated in the present, but it's a future state that you actually want to achieve, and you basically already frame it as it already happened. Which means in our case, my knee is strong and flexible, and that of course means it's free of pain. But the focus text is positive, it's a future state, and you also, when you basically create such a focus, you go into this energy for yourself. So you already say, okay, now my first knee is flexible and strong again. How does it feel? How does it feel inside your body? How do you feel in this new state? Do you enjoy it? Is it a positive state? Of course it is. And then you need to give those feelings room. So your whole body should feel this positive energy of the new state that you achieved in the future. And then you go in a state of gratitude. And in this state of gratitude, you actually start the analysis. You start the analysis, and you basically are thankful. So in this gratitude state, in this state of thankfulness, what you focus then actually on when you start the analysis is that you want to have the optimal result. Why? Because this is actually neutral. To have the optimal result is a neutral state, because what often people do wrong when they start to work with focus text is they actually try, I want to help this person, or I want to get rid of something, and they really try to force it. But that's not how it works. It's the state, the positive state, you actually envision it, but then you want the optimal result. So very neutral, the optimal result of the analysis, the optimal positive information. And if you have this optimal positive information, then you actually get what comes from within. So you get the information out of the information field that resonates with your inner state. And then you actually get the optimal results, and the very precise results usually. And after you basically started then the analysis, and you got those acupuncture points, when you actually analyze in those acupuncture points, then we have 5 meridian databases which are used to analyze in every acupuncture point, which means 4 of them are actually meridian specific, which means every meridian, as we already said, has a special emotion, has a special organ attached to it. And of course, if you analyze in meridian blockages like the first database, there are also blockages that are very specific for this meridian. Same goes for meridian emotional connections. Same goes for affirmations for meridians. Same goes for strengthening of meridians. So every meridian needs a different basically theme, a different content to be analyzed in a proper way. And then you have, of course, also psychological backgrounds. This is a general database, but analyzed very specific for the incoherent meridian and for the most relevant 2 acupuncture points. So it's a very specific thing. Please go on. And of course, in the final step, you also analyze the resonance. The resonance with the McHealy and Healy meridian programs. So that means every meridian has for his incoherent states, hyperactive or hypoactive, has certain meridian programs that actually are there for harmonizing the bioenergetic field that are only, I don't know, 2 to 7 meridian programs depending on the meridian, because you only need a few, or only a few programs basically are there to basically stimulate this certain meridian from an incoherent state to a coherent state. And in those meridian programs, so it's just a few, there you analyze the resonance. And then you actually get or take the first or the highest resonance for the Healy and McHealy program and apply both of them daily. And in ideal case, also at the time of the meridian. So when it's active according to the organ clock. Of course, if it's in the night, it's better to just basically apply it in peace. So it's more important to apply those programs in a peaceful moment that you actually can focus on your regeneration, on a positive bioenergetic field, than to basically force yourself to do it at the right times of the organ clock. But if basically you have time to basically shift your day, that you do the program at the right time, please use this additional opportunity. Of course, you always have one day in the week where you basically make a break, and that's Sunday. So to regenerate, basically, or to give your body to relax and absorb all the information of the frequencies, and actually all the things that are triggered, they of course also need to be executed by your body. So your body needs to work with this new information and actually do the change. So what I did here, I did analysis for myself, and here's one example of the first database. And this database was actually created by Antoni Pepler. I don't know, she's very famous in Germany, or was very famous in Germany, and she created creative homeopathy. So what does that mean? A normal classic homeopath always works with one remedy, and one remedy only. But she said, of course, you are not a one remedy person per se, because of course, when someone leaves you, then you usually are angry at first, or you are sad, or you're depressed. And all those emotions come after each other. So one remedy, she said, doesn't really cut it. So you need more remedies. So what she created mixtures out of remedies. And those mixtures were very special for certain states that you can go through in your life. And this is one of her, and what she did, she developed all kinds of remedies. And she also found the message behind those remedies, so the emotional message behind those remedies. And she wrote lots of books about that. We also made a module with her in Time Waver, and we've of course integrated her things in the Time Waver and HealAdvisor system, and this is one of her most powerful databases. And what you see here, you see potassium chloratum, and the most important thing is the last part of the last sentence. So basic rejunction of one's own needs. And that's basically what I can also see with myself. So if you don't look at what you actually need, and you basically, I have a very, very good example for that, because I was, or my mother was very strict. And when I basically got fruits from trees, I would get all the fruits from the trees, but eat not one of them. Of course, there are lots of fruits. I could have eaten one, but I didn't eat one because, yeah, I said, okay, now it's picking time. You don't eat anything, and so on. So, of course, I was hungry, but I didn't do that. And that's, of course, another very healthy structure in your mind, because, of course, you can eat something. There's plenty left. And then the energy flows more freely if you allow yourself to eat something and keep on working. And I think that's a very on-spot result that I got there. And yeah, of course, you can then harmonize this, and only the desired state and the desired state description is then used to send it in the information field. And what you can do for yourself is, of course, you ask yourselves, like I did, what is it resonating with? So what you read there, what is it resonating with? So is it something that is within me? Can I find it in my past? And as I did, so yeah, of course I can find it in my past. I can find it when I grew up, when I basically learned, to do what was said to me and not to listen to myself anymore. And then you can go back to this moment, actually, in your mind. So you close your eyes, go back in this moment, but now you go back as the master, as you are now. So you're not a child anymore, as I was. So you're not helpless. You're not basically bound to what your parents do for you. No, you're your own master. You make your own decisions, and you can also create your own world. And you go back as a master in this situation. You close your eyes and you say, okay, how should have been this certain situation, that it would be a positive situation? So what could have my mother said? What could I have said? How should the scenery change that it would be a positive one? And then you change it, that it could be a positive one, or that it is a positive one. And then you also basically take your inner child, or the child that you find there, so yourself, and basically hug this child very, very carefully, and with all the love you can give him, and tell him or her that everything is good now, that it's okay to do different than you learned. Yeah, let's go on. Yeah, of course, each entry is also analyzed for the relevance. So how important is a topic at the moment? So we always get the question, or I always get the question, what is irrelevance? What is intensity? What is potency? So this is a very, very brief overview. Of course, there's more to say to that, but we don't have so much time to go in so much detail. So relevance is how important. So when you have a positive relevance, it's a conscious topic. So you're actually, usually the people are aware of what they read. If it's a negative relevance, it's an unconscious topic. So you know that it has something to do with you, but it's not really conscious. So you really think, okay, yeah, there is something, but I don't know. But if you ask your wife or your partner, they say, yeah, of course, that's how you are. You need to look at that. Then you have intensity. That is how confrontational you are towards this topic, which means if you have a 10, it's like you can talk to the person about this no problem. If you have a 1, it's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't confront people with this because they cannot handle it yet. So it's too much information. It's too painful still, this topic. It's not in your consciousness so much. You are not aware of it in a way that you can deal with it. And of course, potency, whether a topic is in the foreground or more in the background. So if you have deep potencies, so very low potencies, it's already in the foreground, you know it, it's there, you can deal with it. When it's more in the background, it's like, okay, maybe it's one of a thing of my mother, of my ancestors, or even in a different life, basically. And then it's not so tangible anymore. But of course, very important to get those things aligned, because those things actually go through your family over decades, over generations. And if you break the chain, you free basically your part of the family from this negative pattern. Let's go on. Yeah, I already mentioned Anthony, and we already did this actually. Okay, let's go on. So next one is affirmations for the respective meridian. And this is very important because affirmations are very, very simple matter to actually get things to change in your life. And here we have the affirmation in the desire state: I choose love and compassion over hate and resentment. So that's what we all should do. We should, of course, choose love always as the highest. And hate and resentment are very, very common if you work with lots of people and things go wrong. Yeah, of course, you are easily like, yeah, that's very bad. But actually, yeah, we are all humans, and everyone uses basically his knowledge to basically solve the things they encounter in the best way, as they just know right now. Maybe there is a better way. There are hundreds and thousands of different ways to solve it, but that's the best way that the person right now chose to do it. And yeah, and those not so optimal ways are as human as the greatest things that happen to us. So it's, as I said, it's the same medal but different sides of the medal. And but you wait a second, go one back. And yeah, and of course, what you should do with this affirmation, I mean, depending, you can also choose 3 meridians, so you might have a whole bunch of affirmations there. So read through all those affirmations very consciously and see which one actually triggers something within yourself. Which one do you actually resonate the most with? And then if you find one that you say, okay, wow, this really touched me inside, so this is really something that yeah, made me think, then write it down on a piece of paper, put it next to your toothbrush. That's always when I want to get things done consistently, because that's for affirmations is it's about consistency, so doing it every day. And I always do it like, okay, I always brush my teeth in the morning, and I always have things to do before I brush my teeth. So I want to brush my teeth, of course, uh, and if I have things to do before that, I will do them because I want to brush my teeth. So a very easy psychological experiment that actually works. So you can also do it. And there you put your affirmation, you put it as on a small paper next to it, and you always recite this affirmation, maybe the time you brush your teeth. And then it actually has the power to change something if you do it every day. Continuously, I would recommend for 2 weeks. Let's go on. Then a very nice database, of course, also strengthening the meridian. So those are very simple actions you can do. to strengthen your meridian. And you should integrate those, of course, also in a morning routine, like I did with my toothbrush experiment. And you should also continue that for 2 weeks. So in this case, it's a very simple one. Sing or hum softly to stimulate the abdominal energy center and support the earth element. So what we also have here, of course, I just want to explain the structure here. So the first thing that basically is in the entry is the name of the acupuncture point you analyzed in depth. And below you have the intensity, potency, and relevance. And below that you have the message behind this acupuncture point. And this indicates an inner conflict that weakens me considerably. So this is the message behind the acupuncture point, but it has nothing to do with the desired state and desired state description. So always keep this in mind, because of course the message behind the acupuncture point always stays the same, but the desired state and desired state descriptions are always analyzed for this acupuncture point newly again in those databases. Let's go. Yeah, and Dissolving Meridian Blockages by Sabine Weber. So Sabine Weber is, I think, or was one of the most special persons I knew, because she started out as an engineer. So she was had a big in a big company. She had lots of people she worked with or that worked in her department, and then she got sick. And when she got sick, she actually looked for alternative ways to heal herself. And she then became a natural practitioner. And that's what happens if an engineer mind meets alternative medicine. So she learned lots of different methods: acupuncture, bioresonance, information field analysis, microcurrent application, frequency application, light therapy, and so on and so on. So she had a huge portfolio of different things she offered in her practice. I think she treated with 70 years, she treated in a day more people than others treat in a week. And she was famous for basically people that got there completely out of energy, and they left there rejuvenated and very happy. And what she did, she basically soaked or basically got all the information of all kinds of different books and put it into information field databases. So she created lots of databases for the Time-Weaver system, and her databases are very powerful. Why? Because the information, how she put it, and the let's say importance of the information was very precise and very high. And when you do that, you also get much more or much better results in your analysis, because this information field of this information is already there, because it's very powerful, it's very common information. And that's one of her databases, and that's Dissolving Meridian Blockages. So in the desired state entry, you need to read the last part. So basically, it's I can accept challenges, I can process new impressions. And that's especially important in my job, let's put it like that, because if I would not accept new challenges and process properly new impressions, then I wouldn't last a week, because there are so many new things. I think in all the time that I worked for Time-Weaver and Healy, there was not one day I did the same thing or a similar thing. There was always something new, completely different, and very challenging from time to time. And you need to be able to accept new challenges. And I think the best thing, or what I would recommend to all of you, is when you read through that and you close your eyes and visualize exactly what you are currently experiencing. So sense how this actually feels. So what do I mean with that? It's like When I close my eyes and say, okay, I can accept challenges, I can process new impressions. How does that feel for me? And it feels amazing, actually, because if you can do that, you actually feel very energetic because there's no problem anymore. Though all those challenges that basically you're facing, it's like, yeah, they are there, but I can handle it. And this emotion, actually, this emotion that you feel there in this moment, spread it through your whole body and internalize it. Really feel it in every cell. And that's what you should do with those meridian blockages, because that's the energy those blockages take from you. They take this energy that can flow freely when you basically, in my case, accept the challenges. And that's the power that you can basically use, or that you can use this database for, to exactly reignite this energy flow that's bound there in this blockage. Let's go on. Yeah, and meridian emotional connections are very, very important also. So what do we have here? Disappointment. And then that's very, very crucial. So disappointment. So again, close your eyes, be very still inside and see, okay, when was the last time I was disappointed? So when was the last time you were disappointed? And who maybe disappointed you? And then when you found this moment, you think, why? Why was I disappointed? Why did this happen to me? And if you're stuck there, see who was involved and ask those people and talk to those people. And then you will find out 100% why you were disappointed. What lies behind this disappointment? And when you solve this riddle, you also have the energy back that's blocked in this disappointment. And talk to people, even if it hurts, because as you know, people don't want to talk to people about things they don't like, that they that feel heavy, that when you are angry or you are hurt, then you don't want to talk to people about those things. But trust me, it helps. It really helps. Let's go on. Yeah, further entries. So as we saw, it takes some time even to explain it. So it takes even longer time usually to actually do the things that I just explained. So how should you proceed? Let's imagine you have three meridians, and for three meridians, you have two acupuncture points, so it's 6, and then 5 databases, so it's 6 times 5, so it's 30 entries. Should you do that for 30 entries? And the question is very important, because you always listen to yourself, meaning trust your intuition. If you want to do it for one entry, do it for one entry. If you want to do it for 10 entries, do it for 10 entries. But don't think that actually doing it with basically the same formula, the same way, actually solves things. No, you need to really be emotional involved. You need to feel the difference, because your emotional body needs to learn your new self, so the better self that you are basically creating, so your personal development that you are actually going through. If your emotional body doesn't basically get it, there will be no change. So only take so many entries as you think you can handle, that your intuition tells you that is right. So always listen to this intuition that tells you, no, 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 stop here. Concentrate on 1 or 2 entries. That's much better if you do it in a proper way than if you do all of them. Let's go. Yeah, we already had the Meridian program analysis. So you get the highest relevance for the Healy program and McHealy program. And of course, it's good to use them, as I already said, at the organ clock time. But it's more important to use them in peace so your body can basically absorb the information. And always take Sundays off to give your body also a break. Let's go on. Now, one very important thing is, of course, the duration of the application. So for acute topics, so recent topics, so when something just happened, I don't know, you fell and you hurt yourself or something, that's something acute. It just happened and you need to look into it, or you want to look into it. You do a Meridian analysis. And if you get the analysis list, you at least do it once, do the harmonization once a day for 1 minute, ideally up to 8 times a day. So because acute things need more small impulses compared to chronic things that need longer impulses, but not so often. And then, of course, you use, as I said, the Healy and McHealy Meridian programs once a day, except of Sundays. And you do that for 1 week, because acute topics usually are addressed in a shorter time than chronic topics, because chronic topics take a long time to actually manifest and take a longer time to actually go away. And after 1 week, you perform a new analysis, and then you find out what's basically a new focus. Or you can also, if something happens anytime, you of course can also do an analysis anytime. So as for the chronic topics, it's 3 minutes harmonization in the information field 3 times a day, ideally, and of course 2 weeks instead of 1 week. And yeah, if a new topic arises during this time, or if you feel you need to perform on your meridians based on your intuition, of course, do it. So it's not like, yeah, I need to wait for 1 week, I need to wait for 2 weeks exactly. No, if something new comes up, use the Meridian module to find what you can actually do about it. And yeah, and always, I cannot stress this enough, listen to your intuition and let no one persuade you to not do it. I mean, there's a very, very good example. It's like if someone asks to marry you, or you ask someone to marry you. So if it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, never do it. Even if your mom tells you or your dad tells you, yeah, this is the best partner for you. We tell you, we know this person. If you don't like this person, please listen to your intuition and don't do it. Otherwise, you are in for a long run of, maybe not so funny experiences. Okay, let's go. Yeah, practical tips, always very important. So when you use your visualizations, like I told you, free yourself from the concept of guilt, because guilt actually is something man-made. So you are guilty of doing something. It's your fault. So it's always easy to blame the other ones. But actually, everyone has their own reasons why they do something. And that's the best way they could do it in this situation, because they didn't think of a better solution. And actually, what you should always take into account, they're all humans, and it's part of being human to do something wrong. But to basically, spend 20 years of your time to blame someone because he or she did something wrong, I mean, you're wasting 20 years of your time. You should always think about that if you, blame someone. And of course, if you understood this, you should forgive this person from the bottom of your heart. And not like, yeah, it's forgiven, it's no problem, it wasn't so bad. No, that doesn't really help. It's really from the bottom of your heart, forgive this person and free this energy. Free this energy and take it for yourself again, because you can use it for something better than blaming someone. Yeah, and transform what you have experienced into something positive. That's also because everything that happened to you made you to this wonderful person that you are now. So there's nothing negative. It's just something you experienced to learn something out of it. And that's what you should always keep in your mind. So if something negative happens, search for the why and then search what it actually brought positive to your life. And you will always find something, trust me. Yeah, of course, one very simple practical tip. So if you tap on the Meridian card, you see, of course, the respective information. And when you go to the information section, so you see a little more in-depth information about the Meridian itself. Of course, only positive information patterns are sent to the information feed, so only the desired state and desired state description. And the description of the acupuncture point, as I said, which is always the same. This is of course not sent. This is usually a negative thing. Okay, what else do we have? I think we are through, aren't we? Yes. Good luck. That's the last thing that I can give you today. Good luck on your path to a life full of energy and in unity with your inner wisdom. Because there's a lot of wisdom inside you. You just need to grab it and embrace it. Thank you.